It is true that The Forever Winter is a co-op, post-apocalyptic survival shooter, but you can still play it solo. In fact, the developers provide offline play and even recommend playing solo as the most immersive and engaging experience. One thing that is of paramount importance is that this is a hardcore game. As you can see in the footage, a few bullets is all it takes for you to bite the dust. The premise is to shoot only when necessary. This hardcore approach extends to other gameplay elements as well, like the water system, which we will take a look at as well. I'm gonna break down the concept and premise of the game as simply as I can, and then we will go into more detail about the single player experience. Basically, the game is set in this grim, dark, dystopian future. The world is dominated by advanced, often terrifying technology and ongoing conflicts between massive war machines. There are two major factions that are in conflict with each other. As a player, you are not aligned with either of those factions. Instead, you are essentially a third party, called scavs in this game, and you are trying to survive while caught between the war of these two gigantic, hyper-advanced military powers. Your mission is to get out into this hellscape of a war zone, scavenge and loot, and then try to make it out there in one piece. There's a hub area called the Innards. Here you can trade, prepare for missions, and eventually team up with others, should you choose to. Basically, that's where players spend their downtime between runs. The game has a reputation system with different factions, which affects what gear you can buy and how much you can sell stuff for. There is no PvP in this game. It is strictly co-op or solo. If you don't want to play with other players, you can recruit some kind of mercenaries that serve as your AI companions, but you don't have to do that. You can go in all by yourself. A quick look at one of the game's standout features. If it is fully functional and free of bugs, their sophisticated AI system. Basically, the factions in the battlefield operate on a dynamic threat assessment model. That means different units or players can become priority targets based on their actions or perceived danger level. Now here is where things can get interesting and potentially troublesome for us solo players. The game has a water system. Water is super important in this game, and it's depleting in real time. If your hub runs out of water, a few things happen. Firstly, your hub area gets reset. This means you lose all the practical and cosmetic upgrades you have made to it. Additionally, you lose most items in your inventory. This is harsh. However, it is important to note that you don't lose your character progression, like all the skills and XP. Now, the developers mentioned that good players can fill their water supplies rather quickly and build up days or weeks worth of water supplies, so it is not an insurmountable challenge. The developers are also particularly open to feedback for this implementation, so we might see changes made to this, or perhaps even the water system being removed entirely. Things will be much clearer a couple weeks after early access release, but this info should give you a decent idea of the game and its potential limitations for solo players. A like is appreciated if it was helpful.